There is a work badge on your kitchen counter, not hanging by the door where it lived for 13 years, just sitting on the counter, lanyard slightly worn, the photo on it a version of your face from a Tuesday 3 years ago when the photographer came to the office and you smiled in the specific, slightly self-conscious way people smile when a photo is for official purposes. It's Monday morning, 8:23 a.m. The building it opens is 12 minutes away. The meeting it grants access to starts in 37 minutes. You are 35 years old. The badge is not going back. Not because you were fired, not because the job ended, because 13 years of your decisions, quiet, consistent, largely invisible to everyone including your colleagues, produced $847,000 in assets. And $847,000 at a 4% withdrawal rate produces $33,880 annually. And $33,880 annually covers your $2,600 monthly expenses with $1,057 left over. The badge on your counter isn't a trophy. It isn't a symbol of escape. It's the last physical object connecting you to a version of your life that you deliberately, mathematically, and completely outgrew. Let's dismantle the version you've been imagining. Retiring at 35 is not a hammock. It is not a permanent vacation or a life without structure or the absence of all productive engagement with the world. That version exists for approximately 3 weeks before your brain, which is not designed for the permanent absence of challenge, begins producing a specific uncomfortable restlessness that no beach resolves. Here is the honest definition. Retiring at 35 means your monthly expenses of $2,600 are covered by assets generating income without requiring your active daily presence. Your $847,000 portfolio, withdrawing at a conservative 4% annually, produces $33,880 per year, $2,823 per month. Your expenses are $2,600. The $223 monthly surplus reinvests. Your portfolio, historically, grows faster than the withdrawal rate depletes it. You will never need to work for money again, not because the money is infinite. It isn't. Because the system is structured to sustain itself indefinitely at your current expense level. And your current expense level was deliberately designed to be sustainable rather than impressive. What changes is the relationship between your time and your income. They are no longer the same equation. Your time is yours. Every hour of every day belongs to a decision you made rather than a schedule someone else set. The work you do from this point forward, and you will do work, is work you chose. Retiring at 35 means every hour belongs to a decision you made. And that difference, lived daily across the decades that follow, is larger than any salary ever quantified. Here is the number most people assume is the obstacle: your income. Your peak salary was $62,000, not exceptional, not the income of someone with an unusual career trajectory or a specialized skill commanding a premium most people cannot access. A professional salary in a mid-tier city earned by someone who showed up consistently and performed competently and received the raises that consistent performance produces over 13 years. Here is the number that is actually the entire explanation. 50%, your savings rate. Half of every post-tax dollar you earned went directly to your investment account before your lifestyle had the opportunity to absorb it. On a $62,000 salary with a 28% effective tax rate, your post-tax income was approximately $44,640. Half of that, $22,320 annually, invested consistently at a 9% average return from your age 22 to your age 35. The result, $847,000, not from an exceptional income, from an exceptional gap, the distance between what you earned and what you spent, held open deliberately for 13 years while the compounding did the work that nobody watched, nobody validated, and nobody congratulated you for in any professional or social context. The math is not complicated. A 50% savings rate on an average income, consistently applied across 13 years, produces your early retirement. The math has always been available to you. The behavior that executes it is the only variable that separates the people who read about this from the people who live it. The $847,000 wasn't built from an exceptional salary. It was built from an exceptional gap, held open for 13 years while every social signal told you to close it. Here is what 13 years of a 50% savings rate actually looks like from inside your life. Year 1. You are 22, earning $38,000, investing $15,200 annually. Your investment account holds $15,200 at year-end plus whatever compounding that first year produces. Your lifestyle is modest. An apartment at $780 a month, a car you bought used for $8,400 cash with zero monthly payment, a social life calibrated to your income rather than your aspiration. Nothing about this year feels like the beginning of something significant. It feels like the beginning of something uncomfortable. Year 4. Your salary has increased to $48,000. The people around you are upgrading apartments, leasing newer cars, spending their raises with the specific ease of people who have been waiting for permission to enjoy the income they now have. Your apartment is the same apartment. Your car has 67,000 miles. Your investment account holds $74,000 and nobody around you knows it exists. Year 8. $52,000 salary. Your investment account holds $312,000. The compounding is now producing returns that exceed your annual contribution. Your portfolio grows by more in a strong market month than the $26,000 you invest in an entire year. The invisible infrastructure you've been building has become self-reinforcing. Year 11. You run the retirement calculation for the first time with full seriousness. Your account holds $621,000. The 4% rule produces $24,840 annually. Your expenses are $2,600 monthly and $31,200 annually. Not yet. Close. Year 13. Your age 35. Your account $847,000. The 4% withdrawal rate produces $33,880. Your expenses are $31,200. The badge stays on your counter. Every year you held your lifestyle flat while your investment account grew. You were purchasing something nobody could see, a Monday morning where the badge doesn't go back. Here is the honest accounting of what your retirement at 35 actually cost. You walked away from a career with 13 years of momentum behind it. A professional identity that the people around you, colleagues, family members, the social world you inhabited, used to understand who you were in 5 words or fewer: your title, your company. The work that produced a legible answer to the question asked at every dinner party and family gathering since you were 22. Without it, your answer requires more words, more explanation, more comfort with describing yourself as someone who built something rather than someone who holds something. And the world is significantly less practiced at receiving that description than you are at giving it. Your family's reaction was not immediate celebration. The concern arrived first. The reasonable, loving, completely understandable concern of people who grew up in a world where retiring at 35 was not a mathematical outcome but a fantasy, and who love you enough to worry when your life stops matching the pattern they recognize. Your colleagues didn't know what to say. Some admired it openly. Some responded with the specific, slightly uncomfortable energy of people confronting evidence that a different choice was always available to them, and they didn't make it. The professional framework that organized your days without requiring you to organize them, the calendar, the meetings, the external structure of a scheduled life, is now gone, and its absence in the first weeks is louder than you expected. Retiring at 35 costs a professional identity you spent 13 years building. That is the real price. It is worth paying. Both things are completely true. The first week is extraordinary. Monday arrives with the specific, disorienting lightness of a day that requires nothing from you by a time anyone specified. You make coffee slowly, you sit by your window, you feel, for the first time in 13 years, that the morning belongs entirely to a decision rather than a schedule. By week 4, something unexpected arrives alongside your freedom, the identity vacuum, the role your career was quietly playing, beyond income, beyond structure, was answering the question of who you are in real time, continuously, through the daily evidence of showing up somewhere and contributing something that other people recognized as valuable. Without it, the question is yours to answer. And the answer, it turns out, requires more thought than 13 years of career provided the time to give it. Your unstructured Tuesday afternoon arrives. Not one, every Tuesday afternoon. Every Wednesday morning. Every Friday that used to belong to work and now belongs to a decision you haven't fully made yet about what belonging to you actually means. Your anxiety is different from your salary anxiety. Your salary anxiety was about money. This anxiety is about purpose, the specific, important, deeply human question of what you are for when financial necessity is no longer the answer. Some mornings your freedom feels like the prize you built 13 years to reach. Some mornings it feels like a very large, very quiet room that you haven't furnished yet. Both experiences are real. Both are part of your first year, and your first year, it turns out, is not the destination. It is the beginning of the more interesting question. Your first year of retirement at 35 is the most psychologically demanding year of your life. Not because anything goes wrong financially, because everything you use the career to avoid thinking about is now available for thinking about. Here is what you discover in year 2. You don't want to do nothing. You never did. The fantasy of total idleness, which sustained your 13-year build through its most difficult moments, dissolves within the first 3 months of actual idleness into something more honest and more useful. You want to build, not for money, for the first time in your adult life, genuinely not for money. For the work itself, for the problem that interested you before the salary made interest a luxury you couldn't afford to prioritize. The creative project you deferred for 13 years because the job consumed the hours it required becomes available. Not as a side project managed in the margins of an employed life, as the primary occupation of a day that belongs entirely to it. The family investment becomes possible at a scale the career never allowed. Your presence, the actual, unhurried, unscheduled presence of someone whose time is not rationed by an employer's claim on it, becomes a daily reality rather than a weekend allocation. The contribution your career's time demands, made theoretical, becomes real. The community problem you noticed for a decade but never had the bandwidth to approach seriously gets your full attention for the first time. Your work doesn't disappear in retirement at 35. It transforms. It becomes the work that was always the real work, waiting underneath the career for the career's claim on your hours to end. You don't retire at 35 to do nothing. You retire at 35 to find out what you would build if building were entirely your choice. Here's where your no regrets actually come from. Not from the outcome. The outcome is good. The $847,000, the 4% withdrawal, the Monday morning badge on your counter. The outcome is everything your 13 years were building toward, and it arrived on schedule, and it is real, and it is sustaining itself exactly as the mathematics predicted. But outcomes can produce regret even when they're good, when they were reached through years that felt wasted, through sacrifices that felt unclear, through decisions made by default rather than by design. Your no regrets come from the process, from the specific, clear-eyed knowledge that every decision in your 13 years was made deliberately, every flat lifestyle year understood as a compounding contribution, every declined upgrade chosen with full awareness of what it was purchasing, every Tuesday evening you spent building rather than consuming entered into with the knowledge of what Tuesday evenings accumulated across 13 years eventually produce. You cannot regret a choice you made with open eyes, and every choice that built your $847,000 was made with open eyes, priced accurately, decided consciously, executed with the full knowledge of what the alternative would have cost you. Your no regrets are not the absence of sacrifice. They are the presence of deliberateness, The knowledge that the 13 years were lived on purpose toward a specific outcome with full awareness of every trade-off along the way. Your no regrets aren't about the outcome. They're about knowing every decision in the 13 years was made deliberately, with open eyes, with full understanding of what it was building. Go back to your kitchen counter, the badge, the lanyard, the slightly outdated photo, the building 12 minutes from your home with the meeting starting in 37 minutes that you are not attending because the number that makes your attendance optional was reached on a Thursday 3 months ago and the badge has been on your counter ever since. Here is the reframe that changes what your badge actually represents. Not the symbol of escape, not the trophy of a battle won against a system that demanded your time. The final artifact of a 13-year build that was always about something larger than money, about the specific, irreplaceable experience of a life lived on your own terms, structured by your own decisions, occupied by work you chose rather than work that chose you by default. Your badge on the counter is the last physical evidence of a chapter that ended the way you designed it to end, deliberately, on schedule, with no regrets. If you are 22 right now and at the beginning of your 13 years with the full compounding window open in front of you, understand what your badge on the counter requires: a 50% savings rate on your current salary, an investment account receiving half your post-tax income before your lifestyle sees it, a lifestyle that stays flat while your salary grows, not permanently, not forever, for 13 years. 13 years of your car staying the same while the account grows, 13 years of your apartment being fine while the compounding builds, 13 years of Tuesday evenings spent investing in assets while the people around you invest in comfort. If you are 28 right now, 7 years in, or 7 years behind, depending on which direction you've been moving, your badge on the counter requires the same things at a slightly higher savings rate to compensate for the years not yet started, still achievable, still mathematical, still available to you right now on the same Tuesday evening that has always been the building block of everything. If you are 34, 1 year away from the age your badge stays on the counter, you already know everything this video contains. You lived it. The only thing left is the Monday morning. Your badge is waiting on your counter. It doesn't go back because you built $847,000 in assets across 13 years of deliberate, invisible, no regrets decisions. The math is available to you. The Tuesday evenings are available to you. The only question is whether you start the 13 years today or whether you start them later and arrive at the badge on your counter at 45 instead of 35.